loads of issues.
All right, we're live. Hello, everybody
Hello.
out there uh, who might possibly watch this. Uh, Actually, big thanks to Costin Bromstar because he watched last week and he
Does he?
commented. Yes, he did. He
No.
commented and said, "Oh shit, I forget what he said." He said something insanely nice about both of us,
Ah.
and I was so excited.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it up because now I gotta see what he said. He
Whenever
said.
Scott says anything, it's worth it putting it in.
Right? He said, two brilliant men right here. Love you guys. And a smiley face. We love you too,
Love
buddy.
that guy. Love Scott so much.
He is fantastic. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the only comment we got of last week.
if you're going to only get one, get it from Costin Brownstar.
Right? Exactly. But I've heard from a few people that they're not going to watch these until they read the volumes themselves. So they're here for all of eternity.
Until YouTube explodes, they'll be on here.
Right? So this week we're coming at you guys with book 5. This is Ring of Truth is the name, and on here you can see who we're going to deal with a little bit. Shadowy Ninja Lady that we saw in volume 3, I believe it was when we saw her. We were introduced to her at the end with the little play thing that was going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's some fun stuff. Although not so fun.
No. There's a lot that goes on in this volume.
Yeah, there is a lot.
A huge amount of content. I think it's the thickest trade in the whole series.
I'm not sure my other ones are over on the bookshelf.
Because it's, I think, 9 issues or something like that. So there's a two-part story, a one-shot.
24 through 31. 7?
7. Okay. Seems like more.
Yeah,
that does seem right.
I think it's because there's so much that freaking goes on. There's a lot that happens in this volume.
Yeah.
Starting with the first part, which was kind of amazing.
Yeah. I remember, because this is obviously a reread for me, I remember that whole bit with Beth 2 being being a lot longer than 2 issues.
Was it only 2?
Yeah, in my head,
God,
that was like 4 or 5 issues.
Yeah, it felt really long.
Yeah, no, just 2 issues. It's just a 2 issue
story. It was only 24 and 25. Holy shit! Wow, yeah, it felt much longer.
And she's such a great character.
This is what we keep saying about Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerra, making us love a character and seeming like it's much longer than 2 issues.
Yeah, they do it over and over again.
The prime example is the beginning of this trade, these first 2 issues, because Beth 2 is just a great character.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's incredible.
Yep, and Yurik thinks the same thing.
Yep. He does.
I do find it funny that what happens with her, and her name is Beth.
Yeah.
First off, this volume starts off 2 years after the whole plague went down.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a big chunk of time.
Yeah.
Already. So.
In terms of the context of what's happening in this, and that he's still thinking I'm off looking for Beth, trying to get to my girlfriend. It's been 2 years since he even spoke to her on the phone.
Exactly. That's a long time.
Yeah. And a lot's happened in that time as well, so that's going to felt like a long time.
Right.
Yeah. He's a stronger man than me.
Especially with everything that's gone on.
Yeah. Yep. But it's
Um,
Beth, it's Beth that breaks that.
yes. Well, let's just dive into it then.
Yeah.
So we start off with Yorick in his disguise, his gas mask and cape, um, going into a church. And just kind of, he's broken off from 355 and Dr. Mann for the night. He's kind of snuck off to go to this church because he wants to confess.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And he goes about it in a very Yorick way. Of coming in with...
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. That was great. But yeah, he's kind of just coming like asking for someone to talk to, and nobody answers. Then all of a sudden, this crazy chick with a lighter and a can of hairspray comes out of nowhere and says, "Repent or burn!" and just like, whoa.
Yeah, so she starts shouting at him. She thinks he's one of the Amazons, which she seems to get mistaken for a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know why, because I've not seen any Amazon walking around in.
I think it's probably lack of chest.
Maybe.
Is my guess. Is why I'm guessing everybody thinks he's Amazon.
Yeah.
But she sprays the hairspray into the lighter, sprays him with fire. He freaks out, takes off the cape that's burning and his gas mask, and Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you? And then I forgot about the part where they're talking about Smokey the Bear.
Smokey the Bear. I just love that's what he thinks about.
Yeah.
So yeah, she says to him, because he warns her against spraying hairspray in the lighter and then it'll go up in the can and blow up and kill them both, which seems a bit extreme. So it's probably unlikely to kill both of them.
Yeah.
Exploding can of hairspray. Then she says, "What are you, Smokey the Bear?" And then after all, he's been on fire and he's putting out, and he says, "Oh, by the way, it's just Smokey Bear, not Smokey the Bear."
You wouldn't say Easter the Bunny, would you? And then she's got this blank stare, and he's like, "Oh, you want the long story or the abridged?" Because obviously she has now just found out that he is a man.
Yep.
So then they get into the story. Yeah, they're just talking. It took him a month just to get out of Brooklyn. It's been 2 years to reach California.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the laboratory in San Francisco, which is only a day or two away.
And she starts making a few passes at him.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Which he just bats away because he's Yorick.
Yeah. And
I just like that he describes himself as the ladies go nuts for zits and thinning hairline. I combine the worst attributes of the adolescent boys who teased them and the middle-aged husbands who left them.
Yeah. And she wants him to get in to confess all the broken hearts.
Yeah.
And he says, is it okay if we ease into that? I don't even know your name. And she goes, "Oh, it's Beth." He's like, "You're kidding me."
And then he has that thing where he says, "It's no, that's the name of it's the name of someone I know."
Yeah, that was kind of.
He's like, already
gotcha.
2 steps ahead of this. Yeah.
Because obviously he was going to say that's the name of my fiance, but didn't want to quite.
He doesn't want to say that to Beth. So.
Yeah, I wonder why. It's not like she's attractive.
No, weird. Huh.
Quite strange.
Let me get the first part. There's a lot of discussion of the church in this
Yeah,
two-part
a
story.
lot of
Yeah,
church discussion.
yeah. So fairly in-depth theological debate throughout this whole thing. But as with other Brian K. Vaughan stuff, where he talks about the whole stuff where he talks about the government and the rights of the women to take the place of their husbands. You have that whole political discussion in the first volume, and
Yeah,
it's very in depth and very involved. But it just doesn't feel boring. It just feels like Brian K. Vaughan's putting it in the mouths of characters that you're really interested in, and the fact they know this stuff just makes you
yeah,
more interested in them rather than just being like, "Oh, Brian K. Vaughan's got opinions on the church. All right, here we go, Brian. What are you going to tell us now?" It doesn't
right,
ever feel like that. It just feels like Beth knows a lot about being a nun. This is really
right.
hot.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she's got an awesome scar on her face,
Yeah, and
which
then
is never
he,
mentioned until we figure out why she's got it.
yeah,
He never picks up on the fact that she's got this huge scar
yeah,
across
never
the bridge
says
of her
anything
nose.
about it.
No, does not at all.
Then he ends up telling her what happened on the last volume at the end,
Yeah,
where he ended up shooting the girl from Sons of Arizona,
yeah,
right? Yeah. Um, how she bled out from a shot to the leg. So we find out how she actually died, how he
yeah,
actually shot her, because we didn't know.
yeah,
We just saw bam, bam.
yeah. And this is the first time he's told anyone that what actually happened.
Yeah.
We know he's
So
not told 355 or Dr. Man. It's just he's kept it to himself.
yeah. So we find out
Mm-hmm.
that he shot her in the leg, and she bled out because he nicked an artery. Um,
And
and
I
he
love the way
didn't.
that
Go on.
Guerra does the flashbacks in that, and the way that she
With
just uses
the
colouring.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, she just changes the colouring so you can tell that it's the flashbacks, all of the stuff in the present because of the way the church is and the lighting and stuff. It's all red tones and it's all
Yep.
very red colouring, and then you get the flashbacks and it's
In the blue
you get
tones.
this blue tones,
Yep.
and
I like that too.
really nicely done. I really like that a lot. Apart from when he's looking at his hands and they're covered in blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really heartbreaking that bit to
Yeah.
realise how it wasn't just he shot her and he was up past it. It was a really horrible, not slow death, but it was really involved. That he was trying to do CPR and he was trying to stop the bleeding, but just couldn't. And so when you think back to the last volume, when you have that image of him just having dug the two graves and buried the two bodies, you can now fill in everything that went up to that and how much he's actually been holding in.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yes.
Mm.
And then she goes into her story.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, very crazy.
Yeah.
So Beth used to be I was gonna say a stewardess, but that's not politically correct. I have to say a flight attendant.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a flight attendant when the plague hit.
Yeah.
And everybody on the flight was freaking out. People bleeding all over the place, all the men dying. The pilot and co-pilot all were men.
Yeah. Everyone senior to her was a man.
Yep.
So
So
she's left to figure out what the hell to do.
along with the only female air traffic controller that lived, who keeps asking her if the pilot engaged the fucking, what was it?
ATL?
Automatic landing.
ALS, that's it.
Yeah. Automatic landing system, is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. She didn't know what was going on because she's only a flight attendant.
And the whole time, the air traffic controller that's trying to talk her through it isn't trying to talk her through it at all. She's talking about how it's the rapture and all the men have been called to heaven and the women have been left behind because they're descendants of Eve and they brought sin into the world. And it's not really helping the situation, I've got to say.
Not at all.
No, she's not helping her land this plane.
And land the plane, she didn't really do so well.
Yeah.
The plane crashes, and everyone but 3 died.
People,
Yeah.
Yeah, but she shows that she's made of tough stuff and she's not afraid to be a bit aggressive when she needs to be to get things done by dropping the C-bomb on the air traffic controller. To get it to shut up. It's like, oh, I love you, Beth, too.
Yep. Oh, Beth, too.
That snaps the air traffic controller out of her religious frenzy and just says, well, actually try and help her land the plane.
Yep.
Which doesn't go so well.
And then he kind of consoles her a little bit, says, it's not your fault that all those people died.
Mm-hmm.
At least you saved those 3 other people.
Yeah.
And then she does this, like, Yorick thing, where she goes, wait, what about Kermit the Frog? And he's like, gives her this weird look, and she's like, he's not Kermit Frog, right? The makes sense. Smokey Bear sounds all wrong. It's not, and then he just kisses.
But it's perfect Yorick that the fact that she says stuff like that is just like, I've got to do it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's it.
Yeah. And then you have the whole weird thing of him being like, sorry, Beth. It's like, what do you mean? No, nothing. I'm not apologizing to you.
He's like, we have to be careful. Forget about condoms. I want to feel... No, I mean, everyone I get close to, they end up getting hurt. And then she says, I'm a big girl, Yorick, while she's tearing off her top.
Yep.
Because they're going to have sex in a cemetery. Because why?
Yay! Yeah, they are.
Yep.
We do get a little flash of what's outside the church while they're in the cemetery, and it's a group of Amazons standing outside, so trouble is not far away.
Of course.
Everything Beth says makes me love her more and more.
We get to this post-coital discussion, naked in the cemetery, where he confesses that he has a girlfriend, and her name is Beth, and they're engaged. And Beth, too, proceeds to say, so? You're like, all right.
I do love the face that Pia Guerra manages to give Yorick in that post-coital moment. I don't know if it's not going to capture this on my camera, but it's a mixture of relief, shock, regret. Yeah. Where she's very happy.
I love how she proceeds to tell him that his Beth has most likely gone down on more than a few females since the plague hit. She's like,
and terms it as she's gone down under.
Yeah. She's like, take it from someone who went to an all-girls Catholic boarding school. Any port in a storm.
Yeah. So her reasoning behind it's fine that we've just had sex. You've cheated on your girlfriend, and she's probably a lesbian, or she's probably dead. So
yeah. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. And then they proceed to have sex again.
Yep. Yep. She's like, oh, you're so sweet, and they go at it again.
Yep.
And then we go back into the church.
That this all happens around a church is just fantastic.
I love that it happened in a cemetery. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. So then they have a conversation about magic and more religious stuff and the consecration of the host and Catholicism. Get into a whole big discussion of that. And Yorick does some cool magic.
Yep.
And Beth says more things that make me think she's amazing.
Yep.
When she just does that look on her face and says, "Show me something amazing," and I eat your flesh. Jesus, Beth. Yeah. And then proceeds to go and take on some Amazons just in her pants and a vest.
Yeah.
Actually, no, she puts trousers on and she's walking up there. She's pretty amazing.
Yeah, she is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So, these are they Amazons?
Yeah.
Okay, I
They've all
couldn't
got
tell
those.
because they all have their breasts.
Yeah, so she mentions that to them.
Yeah.
Get angry, but they've all got bows and stuff, and they're pretty. They sound like Amazons and act like Amazons.
Yeah. So they get into this discussion back and forth, arguing like you need to burn this place down or whatever. What was that?
There's a whole thing that it's a symbol of patrimony and oppression, and that you need to burn it down.
Yeah. And Beth too is standing up to him, saying, "No, you're not gonna fucking burn it down.
Yeah.
Get out of here." And then the lights go off.
But not before Beth has had a damn good go at beating these girls up.
Oh yeah.
She like ducks a punch from one and scratches her across the face, and then she's pretty. Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
And then the lights go.
Then the lights go off. Then you see silence. I was like, oh no.
What the hell is he doing now? Yeah.
Chill, it's just a recording. I am not a recording. I am Yahweh.
Yeah, he basically pretends to be God.
Yep, he does. Leave my house or suffer my wrath.
Then he does a whole levitation trick, and it's
Oh god, it's fantastic.
And then he starts quoting Pulp Fiction.
I loved it so much. She calls him out on it. So you will know I am the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you. That's not real scripture. It's a line from fucking Pulp Fiction. I lost it when I read that. It was so funny. So Beth too elbows this chick, steals her crossbow, and tells him pretty much to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And Beth proceeds to be amazed by Yorick because he was floating.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, really, it's pretty easy. It's just a reverse Balducci." And
you can look it up online.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna look it up and see if I could do it.
Yeah, so she's like, "Yeah, it's really easy. Just look it up on it." No, the internet doesn't exist.
Yeah. And then I took it as they proceeded to have sex one more time.
Yep.
In the church.
Yep, me too.
All right, I'm glad.
And then they cut to that single panel of the crucified Jesus.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh, okay.
I was like, oh, that's awkward. Oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they have a whole moment of he's got to leave, and he says, "Come with me," and she says, "I already did, twice."
Yep.
She's amazing.
Yep, she is.
And there's a whole conversation about how he's got to go and find his fiancée, and she's like, "You said she's probably dead." And she does that whole thing where she says, whispers in his ear, "I lied," and then does the snake kiss.
Yeah,
like,
that was awesome.
God.
She's awesome. He should stay with her.
I think it's quite clear we're both quite big fans of Beth.
Yes.
Beth
too is amazing.
Yep.
But like I said already, every female has been amazing that gets just 2 issues.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have.
And then they cut to this fucking panel where I was like, oh my god! Like, I didn't look at the bottom yet.
Yeah, because they're talking about Beth too, and
Yeah,
then the next thing you the next thing you
the
see
next
is
thing you see is this right here. This blonde girl, all dried up, covered in flies, and obviously dead. I was like, oh my god! But then we see
but
regular
it's not.
Beth one
It's not
uh,
Beth one. It's
stumble across this dead female.
yeah. And I think Brian Cogle are quite clever here because obviously Beth two is amazing,
Oh yeah.
and then you see Beth one, and it'd be really easy for you to be like, oh god, I hate you, Beth one.
Yeah.
But the fact that he gets her to do a whole Scooby Doo thing when she finds the corpse with a whoa, like, actually, I quite like you as well, Beth one.
Yep.
So yeah, she is in the outback still. She is doing some sort of. She's still being really anthropologist-y.
yeah, which is very weird to me.
Yeah, and she's picked up a friend with blue hair who's meant to be Australian by some of the. This is one of the few times when the Brian K. Vaughan dialogue was a bit like, okay. I suppose it's
Yeah.
really difficult to suggest that someone's Australian, but the fact that they've got this Sheila, oh,
Yeah.
I don't think that she'd actually be talking. But it
Yeah, I
gets
was
the
like,
impression
ugh.
across. Yeah.
Ah,
So,
bugger.
so yeah, she's found this dead body, all this stuff. It turns out it's the place where there's the only female area of Aborigines live, and then they are surrounded by a group of female Aborigines.
Yep.
And that's it for that
And
story.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of wanted more about Beth one because I wanted to know what she was up to.
Yeah, but for this volume, that's all we get of F1.
Yeah.
What's that? A page, single page, and a two-panel page. So
Yeah.
not much. Not much of F1.
Not really much from her at all.
No.
So, yeah.
And then we get this one shot as well. This series just gets better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get a single issue. It wasn't a one shot; it was part of the whole run, but it's a single.
Yeah, it's a single
story, which is just called Hero's Journey, which is all about Hero. And we've talked about Hero and how she's crazy, and we kind of hate her a bit because of the stuff she does and the people that she's hurt and who she's killed. But in this one issue, by the end of it, you're kind of like, actually, I kind of understand Hero and kind of feel really sorry for her because she's got so much horrible shit going around in her head.
Yeah. Oh, shit. 1 second. If you want to talk, feel free. My wife just texted me saying she needs to talk to me, so
Okay.
give me a few minutes.
Okay.
But you can go on and I'll catch up.
Okay, cool. It's just me. Hello. So yeah, we get this single issue which just focuses on Hero, and it follows her from basically a small child from the age of about 7 or 8, I guess, maybe a little bit older, through to where she is now, and it follows through from when she's a small kid with Yorick, through her being a teenager, awkward teenager, through to a slightly older, sort of young adult, arguing with her parents, through to the point of Plague Day, and then it figures out how she ended up involved with. Well, we've seen how she ended up involved, but how it was for her being involved with the Amazons and how she actually got stuck in that situation. And it just follows it through, and then we see a little bit of her in Marysville, where she was locked up in prison in volume 2. I think it was 2. Her meeting up with her mum. And it basically just follows her through all of the storylines that Yorick has passed through, through to the Natalia, is that her name? The Russian? Yeah, Natalia and the 2 Jewish scientists, the Russian astronaut, and the baby, and it just takes you through every step of the story that we've seen so far. And like I was saying with Scott, this single issue puts you inside of Hero's head and makes you understand exactly how difficult it's been for her and makes you understand the sort of person she is. We've seen lots of Yorick's background. We've seen lots of him, flashbacks to him as a child. We understand who he is because of the things he says and the places that he's been and what he's seen, what he's done. But we've not had any of that with Hero. We've seen a little bit of her with the flashback where they were going to see their grandfather. But that's kind of it. All we've seen is her in the present and her doing some pretty horrible things and having some serious issues. So I don't want to get into it too much before Scott gets back because there's loads of stuff to talk about. But the first thing that we get is a flashback to when Hero is, I'm going to guess at about 8 or 9, maybe 10, 11. And Yorick is probably 4, maybe a bit younger. And it's Yorick and Hero is taking Yorick out into the middle of the field to a statue, and she's basically messing with him. She's playing a game which involves her taking him to this field and talking to this statue. And this statue is what she calls Queen Victoria. And now this ties in within this issue and in terms of what we've been talking about with Victoria, the leader of the Amazons, and we see how this memory plays into how she reacts to Victoria of the Amazons. So when we're in this scene, Hero is basically doing what Yorick has just done in the previous issue, where she is pretending that she is the voice of this statue, and she's talking to Yorick and asking how old he is and being very booming in the way that only a 10-year-old girl could convince a small 4-year-old boy that she was the voice of a booming statue. And Yorick starts crying and he's really upset. And Hero gets into the whole thing about their grandfather, who she doesn't like. And Hero is talking about their grandfather, who she doesn't like, but Yorick we've seen is quite fond of. And the thing that her granddad told her, which is that boys are made of, what does she call it? Because it's different in the UK from the States. Snips and snails is what she calls it. In the UK, it's slugs and snails. And she says, I don't know what snips are. Whereas what girls are made of is sugar and spice. And everything nice. And then it cuts to Hero in her teenage years, and she's in a bedroom alone at a party, and she's 15 at this point, and she's got horrendous acne. She's on her own, she's upset. But this drunk older brother of the guy that's around the party comes in and is just talking to her about he wasn't sure if she was going to be American with that name. He thought it was going to be a Japanese girl. He's kind of a sideburn having, I had sideburns for a long time, but he's a guy that's he's a little bit drunk, he's a little bit of an arsehole, but not too much of an arsehole. And it turns out that his younger brother has said something horrible to her at the party with a pizza face and embarrassed her in front of everyone, so she's left on her own. And she just says, do you want to have sex with him? And his response to his credit is, yeah, you're 15, very ridiculous. But then proceeds to have sex with her. And basically says, don't tell anyone. But we get this panel where you see her face at the point when they're having sex, and she's happy, content. It's clear that she's always been someone that has enjoyed sex. And you think back to the reputation she had at the beginning, where the rest of the ambulance staff and fire brigade staff just think of her as a slut. But it's clear there's a lot more going on with her. She is just a young woman who enjoys this, and it does end up having an emotional element, and also a way of controlling her situation. We then flash to a dinner party scene between Yorick's and Hero's parents and her. It's Thanksgiving, I think. I don't think it's Christmas, I think it's Thanksgiving. And basically, Hero has told them she wants to be an ambulance driver. She doesn't want to go to college. She doesn't want to carry on with her writing, what she's been doing. And it's her parents telling her that she can't do that. It's unacceptable. It's not what they raised her for. It's not what they paid all this money for an education for.
Oh goodness, sorry.
All right.
My wife just got a phone call from Lucas's school saying that he kicked a teacher today.
Ah,
Yeah, so he's in trouble right now.
fair enough.
Yep. So where were we? Where were you?
I've just been going through what happens in this issue, talking about how it follows her through all the different storylines that we've seen her follow Yorick, pretty much. I've gone through her as a kid with the Queen Victoria, and so how it sort of connects to the Victoria stuff in the Amazons, into the party scene with her as a teenager with all the acne and the sex with the older boy, and she's clearly she enjoys it. She's always been someone apparently that has enjoyed sex.
Yep. And her parents know it.
Yep. And then we get into that horrendous Thanksgiving dinner scene where she said she wants to be an ambulance driver and that she's going to live with this guy and all sorts of stuff, and they're just like, can't do that. I didn't mention, because I wanted to talk about it when you were here, what Yorick is wearing and carrying in that first panel of the issue.
Oh, yes. I freaked out.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to bring that up right when my wife texted me. It's amazing because he's wearing, you're not going to be able to see this very well at all, but it's a Robin t-shirt, and he is carrying a sock monkey.
Yeah, it's clear that from the other flashback we've seen where he's got the Rat's Tail and the Joker t-shirt, that Yorick as a kid was a big Batman fan.
Yep. Very cool.
Yeah, and I do love that he's carrying a sock monkey. That his whole life has been spent carrying around some sort of monkey.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, then we get the embarrassing dinner party scene.
Yes.
The uncomfortable dinner.
I felt very uncomfortable reading it.
Yeah. It was really realistically well done though. It was a early 20s person full of their own opinion having an argument with their parents in a way that is like, yep, that sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we get the Plague Day, which is her just covered in blood, holding someone.
Yeah. Seeming like she really, really cared for him.
Yeah. Which, I mean, in terms of what we've seen with Hero so far and what we carry on seeing with her, she does that very quickly. She falls in love with people very quickly, and she just looks to be in a situation where it gives her a bit of stability all the time.
Yeah.
And I do like the fact that they juxtapose that relationship with what happens the first time she's with the Amazons. So yeah, she basically walks out of the ambulance bay and says that she's not going to help anyone, they can help herself, she's just done.
Yep.
And then it's her eating cat food. And she's broken into a store of some sort, and some Amazons find her. And so she can't eat the food, and so she's not eaten for a week, and she proves that she's always been, even when she's starving, she's pretty tough.
Yeah. She takes on 2 Amazons by herself.
Yeah.
And then meets Victoria.
Victoria.
Bitch.
How we hate you, Victoria.
So much hate.
Yeah. Victoria has a whole blah, 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 Victoria speech.
I love how we just go blah 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 Victoria speech. Like through everything we see of her.
Yeah. It's all really militant feminism, but in a way that doesn't.
She's just basically a manipulating bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
the whole feminist thing is just an angle so she can get control and power over people, which she does. From the first time that she introduced herself as Victoria, we get this flashback. It's not a flashback, but it's clear that the hero is remembering the incident with Yorick in the Queen Victoria statue.
Yeah.
And just calls her Queen Victoria. And then the bloody Victoria knows exactly straight away that she's got this position of power over her and just starts referring to herself as a. She sort of suggests that she's her mother now and that she's her queen, and it's all really shit.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, you should know what happens next. So I've been jabbering for a while.
Well, then we cut to the prison where she's been locked up since she murdered. I can't remember her name now. She was so cool, and I can't remember her name.
Sonia.
Sonia. I think so. And the three ladies come and wanted to see how she was. Dang it! Why am I so blinking out now?
So basically,
she picked the lock. Yeah, she picked the lock and was breaking out. And they said, if you wanted out of there, all you had to do was ask. And she basically is like, get out of my way, I'm leaving. And she says, move. And one of the girls says, or what? You do us like you did our Sonia? Mm-hmm. And she tries to make her case, to plead her case by saying that Sonia killed Victoria. And as she's saying that Sonia got what she deserves, she gets just a gardening hoe to the friggin' face. And I loved it. I was like, yes! And they go on to explain to her that this isn't punishment, and actually most of the girls, most of the Amazons are being
deprogrammed.
They're deprogrammed from Victoria's mind manipulation, and that that they can do the same for her if she lets them.
So then we skip to the scene where Hero, it was the end of Volume, and I can't remember which one it was, where Hero walks in on their mum, and they just get this nice little moment between the two of them where they just without any backgrounds, you just get the
I liked it.
And it's just them just hugging. They're saying, my girl, my baby girl. And then just having a bit of a chat about what's happened. And then she was talking about how she was sick and she's better now. And then basically Congresswoman Brown sends her out on the road with a massive backpack and a cowboy hat and a gun to track down Rick. I don't know why she's suddenly dressed like that. It's a little bit odd. She's suddenly got a taffy jacket on.
Yeah, that's funny.
And a neckerchief and a gun, and yeah, she's doing some sort of Easy Rider thing.
Yeah.
With her clothes.
And then she ends up with Natalia and the twins in the hot suite.
Another wonderful blonde that they've given us with Natalia again.
I loved Natalia's first line in this scene where she's like, "What kind of cowboy fucking is this? Who are you thinking you is?" I love it.
Am I looking like Jewish to you, crazy woman?
Yeah. I am of Russia.
Yeah. But it's just really nice. I really like the way that Vaughan uses this issue to both give us a little bit of background into how Hero's been faring throughout this whole thing, but also to keep us in touch with all the stories.
Yeah.
To tie us back to all this other stuff that we've had all the way through. So we get the Marisfield stuff, we get the Natalia and Hot Sweet stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good. I like it a lot.
She meets the baby boy, Vladimir. So we find out who the father is. First off, it was the Russian astronaut, and she named Vladimir the boy after the man who died, and Hiro got to meet him, but while she's there, she's hearing Victoria's voice in her head telling her that she can smash the glass, go in, kill the baby before anybody can deal with it. So there's the final page is very telling about what's going on with her mentally. She sees the reflection of Victoria in the glass while she's looking in on the baby and the mother.
Yeah.
So she still has this.
Getting better, but
she's not.
She is, but she's not quite there yet because she's still got this. She's still hallucinating.
Yeah. Obviously.
Not completely better.
No.
I did love Natalia's reaction to the way she's talking to non-existent voices.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing to do it in the broken English thing. It's just translated as, "Can't believe it. This chick is actually weirder than her brother."
Yeah. I did find that kind of funny.
Yeah. So then we get the kind of final bit of this trade, which is actually the biggest part of it. It's called the main meat of the story.
Yeah. But this goes by really quickly.
Yeah.
I thought this part went by quicker than the first two parts.
Yeah, this is kind of like the bit with the Israeli soldiers trying to get Yorick and
Natalia
and stuff, because there's stuff happens, but there's a lot of action in it.
Yeah.
So it really picks up the pace. We've had those 3 issues, which, as we were saying earlier, just seems so much longer. It seems like you get a lot more in the Beth 2 stuff.
Yeah.
Than you do in this final story. But yeah, this is, I think, 5 issues or so.
I did like this first part. Where it shows him going to the magic store and buying this ring for Beth. Beth 1.
Beth 1. So he buys this ring, and it's meant to be. What does he say it is? I remember there's some sort of.
The type of.
Yeah, if you look at it in one light, it's gold, and if you look at it in another light, it's silver. So it's meant to be the 2 sides of male and female, and goes into the whole thing about the reversal of males and females in the wedding thing when you put the ring on, and that was a bit odd.
Yeah, a bit.
I don't know if I go to that magic shop ever again, because this guy's really weird. What are you talking about my finger suddenly being my girlfriend's finger being a penis now? What are you talking about? I'm never buying magical goods from him ever again.
But then I love how he does the bartering while he buys it, because the guy wants to. He's selling it to him, and he wants, what was it, $350 or something like that for the ring.
Yeah.
And Yorick's like, throw in 50 sheets of flash paper and you've got yourself a deal. Like, who goes into buying an engagement ring for their girlfriend and is like, you know what, I need some extra flash paper, so we're going to make that happen to you.
And I do like that there's the little thing where he's talking about how he found the ring on his most recent trip overseas, and Yorick does the "save me the old man from Gremlins" routine.
I like that too.
And then we see 355 has given Yorick the best birthday present he's ever had.
Yeah, I loved that.
So he's basically being a mascot on the sidelines of, what game is it? The playoff.
Basketball game. A playoff game or something like that.
Yeah, so the suggestion is it's a big important game, and he's got to be basically on the sidelines dressed as a mascot, shouting abuse at all the players.
So funny.
Yeah. And the 355's done it for him as well. It's just really like,
yeah.
They're good friends.
They are good friends.
And
then the shit starts to go down.
Yep. So in the safe word, which was the last volume, we get the, what are they called? The Setica ring?
Yeah.
I think it's Setica. So the we find out they're a splinter group. We find this a bit later, but they're a splinter group of the Culper ring, and they're the ones that were in the Burkers that kills 7-Eleven. And you just see them in the bottom panel of this thing. So before they actually appear and start doing stuff, so they're following Yorick and 355. And this is great because it's where we've had all of the slow build stuff in the first 3 issues and the getting into the characters. This just takes a few new characters and just throws it into a great big kind of chase fight thing.
Yeah.
So we find out we get Hero still looking for Yorick, and it is a lot like that, the Israeli bit actually, because it's all those plot lines coming together into a very big punch up, really.
I love that Hero goes to a whorehouse. That is so funny to me.
Yeah, that's where she decides to look is a bit odd. But
That's so funny.
Yeah. And then the woman's doing the hard sell on her to get her with it's fine. No one's going to judge you here. Everyone needs some company. That doesn't mean you're a lesbian. It's like, just no. I'm looking for my brother.
Yeah.
She just keeps going for it. She's just like, really? Because you know they can get a massage.
Yeah. And then Hero's like, I don't. Now talk, or I start adding orifices to your girls. Of course,
then
she
starts hearing
around a
voices.
picture of 355.
Yeah, so she and her mum's basically sent her after them because she still thinks that 355 has kidnapped Yorick.
Yeah.
Even though it was her that sent Yorick out with 355. Their mum's not got a head around this at all. And then we get introduced to the sneaky ninja girl.
Yep.
We saw earlier.
Who's
Who is also very cool.
She's following Hero around.
Yeah.
And her name is Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which obviously gets some comments.
Yeah, it does.
Later on in the volume. Yeah, so we get a lot more of her in this body, and everyone's just really cool in this book.
Yeah. This
so we have a conversation.
This is when the action really, really starts.
Mm-hmm. So we should probably crack on a bit because we'll be going for a while.
Yeah. So Yorick and 355 are just kind of walking along, just talking.
Yeah.
And the ladies in the burqas come upon them.
Mm-hmm.
And basically they just get in this huge ass fight.
I did love the way that these 2 panels where we get 355 whipping out her extendable baton with a full think noise, and then all 3 of them in think, and they've got their own cool extendable batons as well. I love these spies, they're so cool.
And then Yorick is just like, oh crap. And then she calls him Yolanda.
Yeah, Yolanda, run! Yolanda!
Yolanda?
Oh, me! And he tries to run away, and he has a whole Yorick moment where it's just like, fuck, Tony not running shoes! And he's falling out of his train. Yes.
And then he gets hit with a baton.
On the back of his head, knocks him out.
Steals his ring.
Yeah.
He punches her in the face.
Yeah.
But
manages to really hurt himself in doing it because he's a terrible puncher.
Pansy.
And because it's San Francisco, it all gets broken up by a trolley car.
Of course.
There's no secret thing.
Of course. So they hitch a ride on a trolley car.
Mm-hmm.
He tells 355 that they took his ring. And basically they end up back to Dr. Mann in her Is that her? Is that supposed to be? Yeah, that's her lab, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's yelling at Ampersand because he keeps throwing poop at her. And 355 tells her we're leaving.
And Yorick starts to get really pale.
Yep.
To look really ill. And then he just starts puking blood and passes out.
Yep.
So they're obviously thinking that's.
And then we get into some crazy.
Yeah. We get another. I love the inside of Yorick's head.
Yeah.
That his dreams and his hallucinations are just sci-fi and fantasy based all the time. So we've already had a brief suggestion that he's a Star Trek fan, and then we have this whole thing of him basically in
this Star Trek fantastic, the crazy space suits, and Beth is looking quite nice in her outfit.
And I love that cover as well.
I kind of wish that halfway through this they had given her a scar to like go back to Beth too.
Yeah,
I thought that would have been cool.
That would have been good.
But they didn't.
No, it's just Beth 1.
Yep.
Boring old Beth 1.
No, Beth 1. So Yorick's sick.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll go quickly. Yorick's sick.
Yeah.
Dr. Man is trying to figure out why. And she pretty much tells 355 that she has to go find the ring because that's the only thing she can think of that might have helped Yorick survive the plague. That's the only variable that could have conceivably saved his life.
Yeah.
355 is pissed about it.
Yeah. That's clearly bullshit. What are you talking about? You're a scientist. But decides that if it's the only chance she's got, she's going to go and find it because Yorick's a friend. And she's going to have to. She's basically in a situation where she has to, because the Setolka ring have got Yorick's ring. She's going to have to trade it for the amulet of Helen, which you see us getting in the first issue, and basically do a swap for the ring. Then we get a bit of Hero being crazy.
Talking to Victoria, who is obviously not there. Her realizing she's talking to Victoria, who's not there.
And then Toyota realizing that thinking that she's talking on a mobile phone. Or talking to herself. Either way. But Toyota's on the phone to her boss, and we've seen her on the phone to her boss before in that theatre bit where we first see her, who she refers to as Dr. N. Who obviously has a lot of wealth, and she's basically got the only mobile phone in existence.
Yeah,
she's able to talk to her boss somewhere, despite the fact that no one's got a mobile phone, and presumably all of the people that are maintaining the mobile phone systems would have died, or the majority of them, but somehow she has a mobile phone.
Right. She gets stopped by a security guard, which is something I was surprised by. But she does this really cool thing where she throws a dart into the security guard's mouth while she has a gun on her. That was cool. Yeah,
she does cool ninja stuff. And the dart goes into her mouth and through to the back of her throat.
And then I love how she calls her Rita. A little Beatles reference there. Calls her Rita the meter maid. I love that.
Toyota's very cool. I think you're going to like Toyota a lot. From what I remember, there's a lot of musical references from Toyota. And then we get a whole thing with 355 and the Ladies and Burkers.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word anymore.
I think it's Setalka, but I'm probably massacring it. I don't think it's a real word, so I'm probably not massacring it. But
right.
The Burkers.
They go on talking about how some bullshit in Saudi Arabia, all the women were dressing like this and blah, 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 blah. We're trying to save them from the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
They don't actually seem to really care about all that much.
No.
Nope. They want the amulet. basically. And there's that whole thing we heard in the first volume that the amulet was, if it was removed from its homeland, it would cause the death of all of the men, and they're saying that this is the reason for the plague. That's what they believe, and that they need to.
One second, my wife's calling again.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right. So 355 and just about to ring out this conversation, and 355 gets put into the situation where she's basically going to have to trade the amulet. It becomes clear to her that they're not just going to give her the ring because she's threatening them, she's going to have to make a trade. And we meet the main ringleader of this other group, who is called Anna Stone, I believe, who's got a shock of short red cropped hair. And then we get a conversation between Yorick and Dr. Mann, who's doing some treatment on him and trying to figure out what's wrong with him. And they have this backwards and forwards where we find out what Dr. Mann's real name is, which is Maximori. Then we get the handoff between 355 and Anna Strong, where she gives her the amulet of Helen. They're doing it in the middle of a baseball. Well, actually, no, I think it's a football stadium, but they're using it for baseball. And 355, Anna's got a baseball bat. The two Burka guards with her, and she smashes the amulet after 355's given it to her. She says so that no one can undo what the gods have willed.
Oh, this is terrible. I'm terrible. Sorry.
I've just got to Anna Strong smashing the amulet.
Oh, okay. We're there. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so that no one can undo what the gods have done. Blah, blah, blah. And then sort of tries to get 355 to join them in their offshoot of the Copper Ring.
Yeah, so in order to get the ring, to get Yorick's ring, she had to go give them the amulet. After giving the amulet and having it crushed, Anna's like, "Oh, well, now you have to join us to get the ring."
Yeah.
And 355 is just like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm on.
Yeah. And then Easy Rider Hero turns up.
And smashes her in the face with the gun.
Yeah. Clocks 355 in the jaw with a gun. They have their big meeting. And then we get Dr. Mann in a lab, and she's got Ampersand with her. And then she's heard noises, it's gone dark, and it's because there's a cool ninja outside the window with night vision goggles and a sword that's rappelled down the side of the building.
Yeah, she looks awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, she's really cool.
Yeah. Then we go back to the ballpark.
Yep.
With 355 and Burka ladies and Hero. Easy Rider Hero.
It's basically just a backwards and forwards row between Easy Rider Hero and 355.
Yep. Then we go back to Yorick, who is in like this fever dream state where he's envisioning 7-Eleven again.
In her dress.
In her fantastic dominatrix outfit.
Yep. She talks about how he was going to stop his suicidal attempts and all this sort of stuff and doing things that put him in danger, and makes a reference back to the epiphany, the moment that he had when he stopped wanting to die, which becomes important a little bit later. We get a moment later on which I'll mention when we get there. Did you pick up on that?
I didn't.
Okay.
Because now I feel like, I'm like, did I pick up on that?
Because she talks about the epiphany that he had, and so when we get there, I'll point it out.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, because I must have missed that one completely.
It's nice. It adds a little bit of okay. And then we get there's lots of between the different scenes. We get Dr. Mann talking to Yorick, ending you're sick. Anna Strong, 355, and Hero doing their backwards and forwards thing, and then it sort of comes to a head when 355 finds out that the Sepulchre Ring killed 711.
And she got pissed.
Yeah, and as soon as she finds out, she says, 711. You killed 711, and Anna Strong just does this little whispery, oh dear.
Oh dear.
Because she knows this 355 is. She's fucking tough as shit, and she's not going to be very happy.
And then we go back to Dr. Mann and Yorick.
Yeah.
And
the whole, I love, we get kind of a, she figures out what's wrong with Yorick, and from there manages to figure out kind of what it is that made him survive.
I'm disappointed. I gotta say.
I'm disappointed as well, but I love the way that when she tells Yorick, we might as well skip to that bit a little bit, because there's a big fight, but we can come back to that. She tells him what it is, which is basically that it was ampersand shit that's kept him alive. And his response, which I thought was brilliant, because no matter what reason we would have got for it, his response to it is, no way, no fucking way, that's a fucking rip-off! Which is exactly the sort of response that the readers are doing. It's like, what?
That is exactly what I said.
But before we get there, we get 355 being amazing and killing two of the Burka women and breaking them neck.
She goes nuts.
Yeah.
Like, just absolutely freaking amazing.
And she breaks Anna's neck.
And she's like...
But she doesn't kill her.
Yeah, she's like, you're not dead, because I don't want you to die yet.
She's just paralysed her from the neck down, so that she can tell the rest of the Sepulchre Ring when they get there to leave her the fuck alone.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But she doesn't do it. She has a little tear rather than a cheek because her and Hero have this little moment, and Victoria is shouting in Hero's ear, kill her, kill her, kill her. And 355 is just like, if this is what you want, Hero, sort of puts her head down to let her kill her, and then Hero isn't seeing Victoria anymore, and she's a little bit, okay, she's a bit more with it. And then we get the Dr. Mann figuring out that it was the monkey shit that kept him alive, which is,
so disappointing.
Yeah. But the thing I really like about this series is that there's lots of theories about what caused it and what keeps him alive and stuff, but you can kind of believe anyone you want. So this is her.
I don't care. I believe the ring.
This is her explanation of it because she's the scientist, and this is the most likely answer, and it's sort of drives the plot along. But it doesn't necessarily need to be that that's what it is. That's what it is for her.
Yeah.
And then we get Hero and Yorick having their
Yeah, he's like, get the fuck out of here! I hate you.
With Hero, yeah.
Yeah.
They have their loving reunion.
Yeah.
Which is just him punching her in the face.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
What was when you tweeted that you had a oh shit moment? Was it when he's puking up the red stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it probably was.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh no. I was like, well, he can't obviously.
5 volumes left.
Yeah. I want to read just all women.
I don't want just Hero for 5 volumes.
Oh my god, I'd die.
So yeah, Yorick basically punches Hero, and then in a backswing to get 355 and punches her in the face.
Yep.
Which calms him down very quickly. Sorry. The whole time Toyota's been watching it through the window, hanging upside down in a ninja outfit, which is just amazing.
Yep, she's cool.
Yeah. And then 355 comes up and has a conversation with Yorick about what's been going on and shows these pictures that the hero's been taking on a journey. And it's of all the people that she's met, so it's kind of the pictures she's taken as she's been doing the journey we've seen in Hero's Journey. and it just fills Yorick in on all the stuff that she's seen.
Yeah, like the the ladies from Sonya's village, his mother, and the astronaut's son.
Yeah. And 355's just like, we need to give her the benefit of the doubt. She's on the way to recovery, but she's got a way to go.
Yeah.
And then we
we get this trippy, freaking crazy vision.
The inside of Hero's head is messed up in a different way to the inside of Yorick's head.
Oh my lord, yes.
Yeah. It's all purple with swirly green backgrounds, and Victoria just talking about how she has to kill people, and she's over the body of Sonya at this point.
Sorry.
Oh.
No, Lucas is crying. Yeah, so...
Do you need to go?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Hero's having this vision in a dream, and in this dream she's over the body of Sonya, who she killed, the girl from Marysville. And we see her sort of overcoming some of the hold that Victoria's got on her. She pulls the arrow out of Sonya's chest, and it's all flaming, and she jams it into Victoria's eye, the illusory Victoria. And Victoria just starts melt the skin off her face, starts melting. We get these panels where we see it just melt off her face in a very Indiana Jones kind of way. And she says, "See you soon," at the end of it. And Hero gives her a, "No, you won't," even if she's in her drugged up, hallucinatory state. And then the ninja turns up, and she's basically after something in Dr. Man's lab. We then cut back to Yorick and 355 on the roof, still continuing their conversation. And Yorick's telling us about a point when him and Hero were auditioning for a play, a Shakespeare play, that their dad was putting on. The theatre club was putting on, and that Hero let him basically have the part, because they both got cast. It would have meant them being Romeo and Juliet.
Oh my goodness, this is the worst.
Everything alright?
Yeah, he's just upset that he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Kids.
I've just gone over the trippy dream sequence in the Indiana Jones style melting skull.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And the conversation with 355 and Yorick about the weird Romeo and Juliet play with the two of them, and the Hero let him get the role. Yeah.
So we're at the part where the screaming happens and the breaking of the glass?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yes. Because Toyota has come in, cut Dr. Man, and stolen Ampersand.
No!
No Ampersand.
Poor Ampersand.
He's
Being
scared
stolen
in
by
his cage.
crazy ninja. Yeah.
What's this noise?
Poor guy.
Yeah. So then we just get basically a chase looking for Ampersand, and Yorick runs off. I do like the fact that Toyota's not able to hide because Ampersand is making so much noise.
Yeah.
He's just doing it. So yes, we get the confrontation between 355 and Toyota, which is very cool.
Very cool.
It involves guns, extended batons, ninja throwing stars.
Yeah, awesome. Which I was worried about.
Yeah.
There when Yorick got hit with where he got hit.
Yeah, he catches a ninja thrown star right across the wrist. And
Yeah,
you're
I was
like,
like, oh god. And then Toyota's just like, oh, this is so refreshing. I finally get to fight somebody that
yeah.
can fight.
They have a little backwards and forwards, and it's on the Golden Gate Bridge in the rain, and it's just cool as shit.
It's very cool.
And they have she's used 355 using a baton, Toyota's just using one of her swords, and then ends up getting knocked out of her hand. So 355's got a sword, and then she calls the second sword. And I just love that. It's just like, fuck yeah!
Yeah. Yeah, this is awesome. That's awesome.
Have a cool ninja versus spy fight, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then they have the great moment where Yorick's just like, she tells him that her name's Toyota, and he's like, what?
Like the car?
She does, yeah, I know, like the car. You think that's what the Japanese say every time Harrison Ford came over to our country?
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
So she looks like she's going to chop Yorick's head off, but Hero turns up and shoots the sword and saves the day. But Toyota gets away with a cool explosion thing.
Yep.
So basically, yeah, Hero turns up and saves the day for everyone. But not before 355's got a nasty cut across the back from the samurai sword.
Yeah, I did like the part where she was like, nice shooting, Miss Brown. She's like, not really, I was aiming for her face. I like that.
Yeah. Then we have a little moment of Yorick waking up and thinking that he's having a nightmare, but it's not. It's
Nope.
Everything's still going. Still the same.
Yep.
And the Hero's going to take monkey shit geneticist to try and work on some sort of cure. And then we get just a nice conversation between the two of them.
Yep.
And they mention the fact that their grandfather killed himself.
Yeah.
Which we didn't know before this. And he gives Hero a letter to address, to deliver to an address. But we don't know who that is for or what it says.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get the bit that I was talking about with the epiphany.
Okay.
Where Hero's crying on his shoulders. He says, come on, don't cry, cowardly lion. And she says, what's that from? Is that from a movie?
Yeah.
And it goes back to the dream that he had where the person that he doesn't see the whole time is the cowardly lion behind them. And he turns around and it's like, it's you.
Oh, yeah.
And that she's, I mean, it's not explicit that that's who he sees in the glowy dream bit.
Right.
But it's just the way that it's connected to the person that he can't see in all of these is Hero.
Yeah.
And that she's like the thing that's missing from his journey, because as much as he might hate her for the things that she does, it's still like a big part of him.
Yeah.
And how he is. But yeah, I don't know, it flashed back to that whole thing for me.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Because yeah, you see him with 355 as the Scarecrow and Dr. Man as the Tin Man.
Ampersand as Toto.
Yeah, and then he turns around and there's the Cowardly Lion at the back, and you don't see
That's
it.
right.
He's all, oh, it's you.
Yeah.
And it just makes a bit of sense of their relationship and of who her character is. She's quite cowardly, and she's always looking for someone to protect her and to keep her safe, and that he wants to do that, but she's not there. And yeah, I really like how this sort of, we see her progress, and she's done a lot of horrible things.
But now she's, yeah.
But she's, the fact that her and Yorick and the mum had a little bit of a moment independently and together.
Yeah.
Just sort of gives you a little bit more. She's his sister. Yeah.
She's still a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
So we end with her taking a picture of Yorick to show their mother that he's still fine.
Yeah.
And the last couple pages of this volume show Dr. Man 355 and Yorick going to pretty much a marina and on the hunt for Ampersand. And
Because they can track him from the device that
that's right. The tracking device that
Yorick's mum had implanted in
implanted.
Ampersand.
Yep.
So they're still tracking that, and there's a bit of a lag on it. But the last place that he was on these docks. And they find out that the last boat that left those docks went to a place called Yokogata. I'm going to pronounce it like that. It's probably wrong.
That's how I did it.
Okay. And Dr. Man's like, huh.
Yeah, of course. It's a small port city in Japan. It's where my mother lives. Bum bum bum.
Yes. And that is the end.
That is the end. So now we are led to believe that the three of them will travel to Yokogata to find Ampersand.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's taken 2 years to get across the United States, so how long is it to get to Japan?
I know. I'm picturing Yorick with long gray hair.
So yes. A lot happens in this volume.
Yeah, a lot happens.
Yeah. And a lot of great stuff.
Agreed.
And we get the joy of Beth too.
Yes.
Beth too.
Oh, Beth too. I'm gonna miss Beth too.
Yeah.
I already do miss Beth too.
I think Yorick misses Beth too as well.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for volume 5.
Halfway through.
Yep, halfway. I want to apologize for skipping out a few times here. Life happens.
It does.
Thank you for joining us. Whenever you join us, if you join us.
Thank you in the future, or now, or wherever you are.
In the past. Oh. Thank you, Adam, for joining me and for taking over while I was away.
And sorry, everyone, for just the long ramble that was me taking over.
No, I'm sure it was fantastic. Now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch.
Yep. You can do the comment. You'll be the person who leaves the one comment on the video.
I will. Oh my God, that's so amazing. Yeah. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, I think I don't have any issues.
No, I should be fine.
All right. Well, we'll do that. And yeah, thank you. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye.